James Wagoner. Today's guest is the CEO of Joule Case. As a professional engineer turned entrepreneur, he brings a solution orientation to challenges, including climate change. He's also led the company through several financing rounds via crowdfunding. He'll share insights about his work and his superpower. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show, where we empower you. James, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I've been looking forward so enthusiastically to this conversation. I've been trying to get you on for months, and I'm just thrilled to have you here now.
Yeah, thank you, Devin. Excited to be here as well.
Yeah, you spoke at SuperCrowd 22, and I was thrilled to have you there. You've raised a lot of money via crowdfunding, and we're looking forward to having you back at SuperCrowd 23 in May. But this crowdfunding thing that you're participating in seems like it's an important part of our modern economy and an important part of converting our entire economy to a cleaner, better way of operating. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of focus and thought on, equity and inclusion, and what I'm really encouraged about is that as we start to think about the green revolution, this transition to clean energy, a lot of stakeholders, a lot of leaders are also thinking about what that means in terms of equity and inclusion as well. Very encouraging from my point of view of what they're saying. But for Joule Case, the ability to have a retail investor, anyone that can come into Joule Case and make an investment as little as $100 is something that I view as something very important for us, right? And there's going to be a lot of investment into clean energy. There's going to be some massive changes, but with something like the Joule Case Equity Crowdfunding Campaign, you can then have those people that are affected on a day-to-day basis from clean energy to also invest and realize the financial upside in this transition. It's going to be a massive change. It's something that everyone on the Joule Case team thinks about every day of how this is going to affect everyone's lives. And most people don't realize how from just day-to-day lives how this is going to affect you on a real life individual basis. And then so if they can invest in Joule Case and participate in this upside, and then also not just invest but participate, now you are an excited investor and telling your friends and telling your community about what the future holds in clean energy. And then also it's important for me to be open to any of that feedback from our investor community. We're very active in communication and making sure that we hear from our investors and what they want to say. It's being very purposeful of how that future is going to look like. And I think it's very safe to say that everyone wants a more inclusive future where everyone realizes those benefits and you get full engagement from top to bottom.
It is just exciting to think about how this marketplace is changing, and it's exciting to see you've been very successful. You've raised now in a couple of crowdfunding campaigns. Now it's approaching $2 million. It's a lot of money. Tell us a little bit about Joule Case. I'm excited to dig into your product roster, but give us a quick overview.
Yeah. So Joule Case was founded by Alex Livingston and myself in 2015. And this is our second battery application focused startup together. So, right after college in 2006, 2007, we started R2EV, the concept being a modular battery blade for electric vehicles. So your Honda Civic would have 8 of them, your Chevy Suburban have 13 of them. There's several companies that are starting to do this right now. In 2006, 2007, really there's kind of two mainstream thoughts then. Number one, right? I mean, it's the realization of, transportation and fossil fuels are actually going to be a problem. And then the magic bullet at the time was going to be hydrogen is going to come and save the future for all of us, right? And we know how that all went. Both Alex and I strongly believed at the time that hydrogen was not going to be the solution. Then you look at batteries and electrification, and the charging was the issue, and the also the capital expense. If you think about it, especially at the time, lithium-ion batteries were much more expensive than they are now, and then so having that battery maybe be more of a more capital efficient model where the reality is you probably don't need that full range for your Chevy Suburban every day. What if you had a rental lease model where you could then your daily drive, that's fine, but then if you want to go on a road trip, you could stack some more batteries in there, right? So we learned a lot from that. We actually got a contract with Spain for 12,000 taxis. And at the time also, if you go back then, there's a company called Project Better Place, which had a modular swappable battery, but it was 800 pounds with a massive car wash arm that would come in and remove that battery. So this was, imagine if you're like in Oregon where you have to have someone pump your fuel, right? Just that gas station attendant, to use that phrase, would be able to swap out these batteries. But it's been a long journey to actually get to the point we are right now of having kind of this critical mass, a universal understanding of we have to do something when it comes to the environment and the global warming that we're experiencing. And then so we might have been a little bit early, but all of that background has made it so that Joule Case is in a place now that we are positioned to start to shape and influence how this clean energy future is going to look like. And then so started off Joule Case actually, understanding that the whole focus of energy right now is fossil fuel based, and to realize that it's not just your car, it's the electrical grid that use gas generators, diesel generators. It's all the backup services from the hospital to even your supermarket have backup gas generators. Fighting forest fires, that's all fueled by gas generators, right? I mean, all of this is truly an energy economy based off of fossil fuels. And if that were all go away, what happens? And what if we instead created a standard of Fuel 2.0 is a phrase that we use, that can package energy in a way that's accessible and usable for all of your energy needs, and those are becoming more and more varied and important, or critical to your daily life, right? And then so we started off with a small sealed lead acid battery system, but have evolved that product now where Joule Case is solving some really big problems, powering large video walls, powering entire facilities for backup power, and even main stage of music festivals, NASA applications, even construction sites where they don't want the utility to be there, right? So there's this really has scaled quite a bit since we started in 2015 to where it is now, and now the Joule Case team of over a dozen employees realizing this vision day to day. It's been an incredible ride. And we're really just getting started. This vision of this clean energy future is something that drives everyone on the Joule Case team every day.
But you have built now an incredible array of products already as a young company. You've got, battery packs. I don't know how small the smallest one is, but I think you've got them in building blocks of around 1 or 2 kilowatt hours, and then you've got everything from there up to a trailer for $500,000 ready to go to provide grid scale power. I mean, this is kind of exciting. Tell us a little bit about the applications and uses for some of these products.
Yeah. So, core belief, or the key architectural difference with Joule Case is that all of these are modular and you separate the power from the energy. So kind of how it could be understood is that the engine, which would be power, right, horsepower, power, that is modular or separated from a gas tank, the energy being the gas, right? So now with batteries, you can decouple those, and when you decouple them, you can quickly scale up for a bunch of different applications, right? And then so, we started off in the trade show event space, and it was a simple 10 by 10 foot booth where that extension cord was going to cost you $500 from the the conference, and so the ROI was about 2 trade shows to use that, and then we quickly evolved the product from there to powering outdoor stages, outdoor events. Now you're looking at these large stages, and really being driven by that vision, right? This vision that you're going to need to make these battery systems accessible, easy to use, not necessarily stopping or resting at, okay, well, we got one product for a trade show, but keeping going, having that vision, that dream, be the guiding light for us, where then we were able to build additional systems. And then you have the smaller systems, but now our systems are being used to replace a lot of diesel generators. We have these 6 kilowatt, Li6K Pros that we sell a lot of, and those are going to a lot of businesses, a lot of food trucks, and it could be anything from a coffee or a coffee truck, which is actually fairly intense on the power side. It could be a taco truck. It could be an ice cream truck. We actually just installed one into a hot dog street vendor in New York City that we're excited as we continue to work with that city and the 10,000 street vendors that are there as well. But then you go above that as well. So we've used our systems, especially on the larger scale, to power large video walls. Whether it's at a video wall at NASA, which we've done. It's a video scoreboard at a PGA golf tournament. It's also it's a food truck plaza, right? And then so a couple times now we've deployed, not just for a singular food truck, but for a dozen, 20, 25 food trucks using our large battery systems, where you don't want to install individual batteries, but for this one event or while they're at this one plaza, they can connect up like it is like shore power, and you're not tied into the grid. It's also construction sites. General contractors will use batteries or battery systems to replace that gasoline or diesel generator as well. And then so there's a lot of different use cases out there for our system, and really, what happens is that our customers come to us and saying, "Hey, can you guys power this?" And the answer always is absolutely. What do you need to do? We got it, and that's whether it's a single phase, getting into the technical terms, but 240 split phase, 3 phase, whatever that might be. And this really comes from the background of Alex and I, being engineering majors, very technically background, where we've built product in multiple different ways. Whether it's at Fluke or at Sharp Electronics. Building this product and making sure that we're customer focused in what we're building, and then aligning to this broader vision.
Yeah, it really is pretty cool, the range of products. Now I've got a little RV, and I've got a 2 kilowatt hour battery in that lithium ion battery. It's not yours, I'm sorry, but it seems like you also have some applications, some devices that are used that way, right? In the RV camping arena?
Yes, certainly, Devin. And as we've transitioned the product line, we were at trade shows, moving to events. We have sold some consumer products as well, but really what we've done recently is focus more on the small to medium businesses and the enterprise, versus a retail product. And
Right.
there's a couple reasons for that. What that retail focused space is getting a little bit more competitive with people that can do that better than we can. But then also on the small to medium business space, we've been able to develop a brand and a reputation, and transitioning to the small to medium business power space. And what Joule Case has been able to do is to develop a brand and a reputation to replace those diesel generators with critical power solutions. So in this space, this is a lot less competitive. There's a lot less competing products. You're dealing with businesses that have larger ticket sizes, right? A median sell order for us now is in the $20,000 to $25,000 for each customer. It's cash up front. We're not dealing with middlemen or distributors as well, and it also aligns to some of these very large strategics that can quickly grow our company as well. We're very excited about what the future holds as we start off in this small to medium business, this enterprise level, and then continuing to realize this vision of that Fuel 2.0 system.
Yeah, it seems to me that this is a potentially huge market. That as we continue to electrify things that have traditionally been powered either directly or indirectly by fossil fuels, that it's an enormous market transition. Uh, what do you see?
Oh, it's absolutely massive, and uh, it's more than I ever could have imagined, frankly. When we really first started, understanding that there's a future here, but then you would look at what's going on and you'd be like, okay, well, we could power a tailgate, right, or something a little bit smaller, a campsite, and letting that vision be the guide as we found larger, bigger applications. But now it's very common to go to some of these conferences that we go to, and just recently at the Global Clean Energy Action Forum, hosted by the Department of Energy in Pittsburgh, and at that conference, you're talking about the Department of Energy that have billions of dollars ready to deploy for clean tech projects. They're announcing 6 massive hydrogen hubs across the country at billions of dollars each. You have the Loan Program Office that is ready to deploy $500 billion for clean tech projects. And then you start to look at what they're actually trying to do, and you start to realize that Joule Case can absolutely solve for all of these things, right? And I think that there's a place for hydrogen and all of these other myriad of different energy uses, but there's a place for battery systems, and it's one of the and I might be biased with this, but battery systems, of course, are going to be key to this clean energy transition. They are the system that is the most economically priced, the safest. You're not dealing with pressurized hydrogen. It is the space that can have the smallest conversion cost, so being the most efficient in terms of the converting it over to storage and converting it back to actual energy, because you're dealing with electricity fundamentally. And then so the market continues to just grow and grow, right? And then so as we've looked at the market now, it's it's $120 billion that we can really address ourselves, and it just goes up from there. As every year it's a 25% compound annual growth rate. What we haven't even really begun to talk about is EV, electric vehicles, and electric vehicle charging. So not that Joule Case needs to go back to where we were at R2 EV with within the vehicle itself as a traction battery, but how do we actually get all of the charging infrastructure that's promised in the Inflation Reduction Act, in the Build Back Better plan, and working with the Department of Energy and all of these state regulators. They're at these conferences speaking up, saying we don't know how we're going to solve for level 3 DC fast charging in a way that doesn't disrupt the grid and gets the chargers to where they need to be. What we've been able to prove as we've gotten bigger in our product and what we can deliver, we're starting to charge electric vehicles with Joule Case systems as well.
Sure, makes perfect sense. Smooth the demand on the grid at that charging point so that there isn't that uh, huge demand instantaneously when 6 Rivians show up to charge at 175 kilowatt rate, right? So, yeah, makes perfect sense. Perfect
Yeah.
sense. Well,
And
James,
one
you
other
have,
thing, I
oh,
apologize.
please.
Another comment around that is just also the infrastructure cost. So understanding that a level 3 DC charger is going to cost anywhere between $200,000 and $500,000 to get that type of wire, that capacity of service to that address. The charger itself and all electronics, and then as the utility looks at that type of demand, that facility owner that would be operating that charger is going to be looking at demand charges in the tens of thousands of dollars a month as they're trying, as that utility is trying to match that. So, why make $500,000 bets in, fixed timelines where, that install is going to take, 6 to 10 months in terms of the permit, the review process, the civil engineering,
Sure.
everything like that. Why do that when you can just set a portable battery there in its place And maybe that location's great, fantastic. Leave the system there. Or maybe, you realize, 5 years down the road, it's not being utilized as it should be. And we need to put that charger somewhere else, right? So, I don't want, the country now to then be overwhelmed with these chargers in places that, we might not have all the information to actually, properly place those exactly where they need to be.
Yeah, yeah. That's fantastic. I mean, it's exciting to think about all the potential for Joule Case. You have accomplished personally great things as a serial entrepreneur, and having raised already so much money via crowdfunding and growing this business. It really is magnificent, exciting to see. What do you see as your superpower?
Well, I think there is, a couple things. The first thing that really comes to mind that, in getting to know myself better is, my inclusivity. And as things come up, or as things are need to be done, I can I kind of, my default mode goes into, in solving a problem, who else can I reach out to and talk with that might have a different perspective, that might know how to solve this problem better than I will, right? I absolutely have, I don't have all the answers, but there's someone out there that might have a better answer for that one particular problem than I do. So let's go out there and let's find out who those people are, and I have a broad network of advocate supporters that I can call on at that right time, and then that also then reflects back on Joule Case as well. So in building the team that we have, making sure that we find the best people to join our team, and then to include them in that process, and really kind of open up the company where it's not just Alex and myself, but then putting those challenges on those executives, on the team members that we've chosen to come along this journey with us, and then let them step up to the challenge. But that inclusivity is something that always comes up in my mind.
Yeah, it's impressive how you have uh, identified a way to leverage inclusivity. We so often talk about it as either an obligation or a duty, or a social justice principle. And you've said, listen, this is really an opportunity for us to find better answers and better solutions. Can you think of an example of a time when you did this and things really went well?
There's a lot of examples, right? But I mean, I really would go back to just our equity crowdfunding, right? And being able to include everyone in this clean energy transition. And, suddenly we now have, over 1,500 investors, and being able to include them on this journey where then they are starting to introduce their local food trucks or their businesses to Joule Case. They're giving us feedback on whatever the system might be, has made it so that Joule Case is not just a company with some small amount of employees. Instead, right, we are a well marketed force when it comes to clean energy, backed by hundreds, almost thousands of investors, and a community that's very strong with that's stacked with customers, advocates, advisors, just people that are excited to see this journey in building something that makes our world a better place. And then so you have to have something that everyone can kind of resonate around. But we have that with Joule Case, and then with that big vision in mind, then you can tap into the broader community, and get that excitement that has allowed us then to have these conversations where I don't think we'd have otherwise, or the sales growth. This year it's we have 5x sales growth compared to last year. We've breaking over well over 1 million in sales compared to last year, and we're just getting started. So we're really excited about this journey.
Now, that's fantastic. It's great to see that success. If you were thinking about how to communicate this principle of inclusivity to, say, someone on your team? You're trying to coach them to be more inclusive in their attitude, their approach, their activities, so they can get these kind of leveraged outcomes that you've talked about. How would you coach them to do it? What are the steps, if you will?
I think something that's very natural for me is, modeling it myself first, right? So just being able to say, as we look at everything, okay, well, what does so-and-so think? Or, who else might be able to solve this problem for us? And then so I think that becomes very, easy for them to see. And they know that that's going to be something that I will always be asking them as they're looking at an individual problem. And it doesn't come from a place that they don't know it. It comes from a place of, always wanting the absolute best, right? This is, you can't be prideful about, any of this stuff. If you really want to listen to the other person, you really have to, be hungry for that knowledge. And then so, I think the other thing that is, kind of the basis, the foundation of any of this is what I kind of just said, right? But, everyone on the team, hears from me constantly that, you're going to, there's gonna be lots of challenges, right? There's going to be, a lot of highs and lows. No one's perfect. But what we do demand is that, we're always learning, we're always getting better, and that Joule Case is winning, right? And we just need to win as a whole, and maybe not individual, every time, right? But that, you're ready for that next challenge, right? And then so, with that foundation, maybe that next time we don't need to add everyone because it's so dialed in and we've learned so much, or maybe we do, right? And then so it's very easy for the team to realize that I'm being very consistent in this messaging, and they know what they're going to get from me, and that message is this inclusivity that we're describing.
Yeah, fantastic. I appreciate that. That's great counsel. Well, James, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate it. Before we wrap up, would you take a minute and tell people, kind of tactically, step by step, how do they find the website to invest? How do they shop your store? How do they connect with you? Maybe social media or email, whatever you want people to use to connect with you. Just give them a little bit of this key tactical information so that this isn't just an academic exercise today.
Yeah, thank you, Devin. So we really want to have anyone that wants to come on this journey come along and be an investor, right? So I welcome everyone to invest in a Joule Case. And you can do that at wefunder.com/Joule_Case, so our company, Joule Case. And there's a lot of stuff going on that website. So, a lot of updates. We have over 60 updates as we've kind of described the story and the journey that we've come alongside, hundreds of comments from investors and what they're excited about, over 100 questions that we've answered as people have considered the Joule Case investment. So be sure to check out that page. There's a lot there. Also, check out JouleCase.com. And at there, you can see how we tell the story, a couple really exciting case studies, and then, just with the products we have for sale and what those products mean in a lot of different applications, construction, events, whatever it might be. Take a look at that too. There's some really great content there as well. You can find me on LinkedIn, James Wagoner. Of course, Joule Case has got its own, LinkedIn page too. And then Facebook and Instagram are also where we live and tell a story out there as well. So, please follow, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and check out that WeFunder page.
Fantastic. Well, James, again, thank you so much for being with us. We wish you every success in accelerating this clean energy revolution.
Thank you, Devin.
All righty, let's do some good. Thank you for tuning in to the Superpowers for Good show. Twice each week, we host changemakers who share their impact, insights, and superpowers. Don't miss another episode. Subscribe today at superpowersforgood.com. That's superpowers, 4, good.com. Be super empowered. Get your copy of the book, Superpowers for Good, as an ebook, audiobook, paperback, or hardcover edition via your favorite online retailer. Interested in having me speak to your company, organization, or association? Visit devinthorpe.com. Then let's talk. Now, keep using your superpowers for good Together, we can reverse climate change, improve global health, and eradicate poverty.